It is almost Derby weekend, so there's
a lot of horse references.
Here's your horse metaphors.
That's all of the major stories.
That's the laziest horse I've ever heard in my life.
I can't do a good
you
horse.
You would lose the fucking Derby in 2 seconds.
My horse has been doing some shrooms.
The only horse I got is cock.
Herbert horse cock over her. Greetings, hard and heavy music fans, and welcome to episode 17 of the Heavy Haystack podcast, a podcast about all things heavy music for music fans like you. The date is May 3rd, 2023, and it is a Wednesday. I am your host, Dante, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. David Andrew Langley.
That was like a 8.5. It wasn't fully confident on the full delivery, but you actually said everything right.
I said it all right, yes.
I'll give you credit.
I
got
give you
that much credit.
Yes.
But 8.5.
8.5.
You'll stick the landing next time.
8.5 is good enough. The next time is
so your average is like 3.5. So.
Jesus Christ. Hey, I got it all right. Like, as long as all the information is there, that's the important thing. Welcome to this episode of the Heavy Haystack podcast. We have some good things, some funny things, and some just things that make you lose faith in humanity stories to talk about today on this podcast.
Yes. Every fucking time.
Every time. There's always
we can't go a week without somebody just royally fucking up.
Is it possible for people to be in some type of core band and not be a total douchebag?
Like, oh, that guy fucked up. I don't want to be like him. Said nobody ever that continued to fuck up after said person fucked up.
Yes, good. On this episode, we have stories of fights, philandering, and flatulence all in this episode.
I'll throw meth in there for one of those.
Yeah, meth is definitely involved in one of these. But before we get to all of those details and stories, we do have a show sponsor. On this episode of show sponsor is a little band by the name of Go Go Buffalo with their latest single titled Blake.
She's rotting in that chair, watching the big wheel. And I'm gonna head upstairs and get some C's. Great big C's! Bob Barker oozing in and out of Drew Carey's body. And she's gone. Blake, baby, she gone. Blake on the billboard. Blake on the billboard. And on down the road I went. 86 Cutlass Supreme, a supreme driving machine. I was following Lizzie down 125, 45 and a 35, and she went on through the drive-thru. Well, she made it a drive-thru, and that's when I saw your face. Big pink gloves, a swarthy man, and I knew you were the one I had to call. So I pick up my phone and I dial those numbers I know. Just so you'd save us, Blake. You'd save us. Call who? Blake.
And that was Go Go Buffalo with their new single, Blake. Go Go Buffalo is a band from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Fuck the Bengals.
Fuck the game. You're just winning. I don't think they're sports fans. At least as far as I know, I don't know if they're sports
guilty
fans.
by association.
Guilty of being from Cincinnati.
I'm sure they feel that way too.
Probably. Yes, they are quite a quality band. They are, to me, they kind of sound a little bit like Clutch, but with a lot of more spoken word parts and oddball lyrics. Well, of course, Clutch has oddball lyrics, but I feel like Go Go Buffalo goes even more oddball with their lyrics, with these random stream of consciousness stories that their singer does on a lot of their stuff. Very entertaining live shows. The singer who's I have on my Facebook, but whose name escapes me. That's real great. But he often dresses up as different characters on stage and goes in full unique stints and characters and embodies different things on stage. So it's a real entertaining live show that they put on. It's been a good while since I've seen them. Well overdue. I know that they took a bit of a hiatus for a while the singer had his first child and took some time away to be family man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he had to be family man
Yeah,
for a
you're
little
fucking
while.
musician and having kids and being married and shit. What the fuck?
But yeah, if you want to catch all of their music, make sure you go to check them out on their Bandcamp, which is gogobuffaloohio.bandcamp.com.
Go, go, Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh, that good shit. Yeah, they should make that a theme song like of theirs. They should have that be the intro on all their albums.
Mighty Morphin Buffalo.
But David's feeling himself today. He's having a good day so far.
Moose snatched, by God.
We snatched as all get out. But with that show sponsor out of the way, let's get into the very diverse heavy music news. So on this news today, we have some, like I said before, some good, some bad, and some very, very ugly. So with these first three stories, David, I'm going to do what I call a sourdough shit sandwich. That's what I mean by...
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that what you call it?
That's what I'm calling it. A
right.
sourdough shit sandwich. And what I mean by that is that going to have a nice, delicious sourdough, nice tasty story at the beginning, and some nice little safe, tasty sourdough story after with a nice little shit sandwich of the meat
No,
in
so
between.
like Arby's.
We have the meats,
Yeah.
and the meats are filled with shit.
I can understand here.
Yes, but this
Bring
first...
them up, take them down, bring them back up. I
Exactly.
got you.
You get the picture.
It's like booking a wrestling pay-per-view.
Essentially, you pick it up what I'm putting down here.
Yeah, this is our WrestleMania.
Yes. Or WrestleMania. With a whole lot less fanfare, if I had to say so myself. But this first story is one that's been making the rounds in the last day or two, and it is peak journalism. It's really a show of how far we've come as a society when this is the top news story making the rounds in our musical community of ours. And that news story is Sleep Token at a show of theirs in, I believe it was Sydney, Australia at the Metro Theatre. There was a Twitter video that's been going around of a live shot of their performance, and somebody decided right during a very quiet part of Sleep Token set during their song Atlantic, someone decided to release what is quoted as a sinister fart. Like right in between vocal lines as well.
You know, as great as this story is, I still haven't watched the video.
You haven't watched the video yet?
But I will say, I myself have offended well over about 300 people at a Megadeth concert with my deadly farts. So I got competition out there, apparently.
You took out like 300 people with one fart.
Dude, people were bitching. Like, they were rows behind. There was like people rows behind me. Like, and you could just hear like people going, "What the fuck is that?" Blah, blah, blah. And like, I tried to shit at, funny enough, in Arby's.
Back to Arby's.
I would say Arby's was outside the venue, and this was the Gigantor I think I've talked about before.
Uh-huh.
And the fucking bathroom line was just huge, and like I was sitting in line and nobody came out forever, so I was like, oh well, I'm not the only one that needed to poop before Megadeth, so I decided not to. I bypassed the poop and I farted for probably an hour straight just on everybody, and it was raunchy. It was bad, and people were just bitching, absolutely bitching.
We probably thought that like freaking a biohazard event was happening. Chemical weapons were flying off everywhere.
Like I said, it had to be maybe not 200 or 300, but there was a good chunk of that crowd that was just like, what the fuck, dude?
We have found the WMDs, and they are within David Langley's ass.
But I think I sent this like telepathically I think I sent one of my farts to this man for that specific moment. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience around the time it happened.
I like the timing of it of the fart is like pretty interesting because it's like it's a very quiet line where the lead singer of Sleep Token, Vessel, is just singing alone, no other instruments, with piano and him singing, and it's right in between lines. You hear just echoing through the Sydney hall of this place. Now, something that is a little dismaying though is that I checked the actual original Twitter post, and there was someone else who commented on it, said that the fart was them, and that it was a joke fart that they did with their mouths, supposedly. But it's a lot funnier just to think that someone just let out a big old nasty fart at the perfect time.
I'd say if you did it with your mouth, you're a dick.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't like sleep token, but I'd actually conjure up a real fart like a real man.
It was like a pretty loud fart. Do
I have to go see Sleep Token now and like redeem the fart?
Like give it a real fart.
It's like I'm gonna go get me some goddamn bourbon in Toulouse.
Oh God, you're gonna get some real red beans and rice.
Drink me like a Jack and a couple stanky IPAs. Shit, let's go get some White Castle. I don't give a fuck. Let's fart all over these motherfuckers. Hell, I'll have a fart set.
You're gonna get real front and center, like right during this quiet song. Is you're just aim your ass right at Vessel's face.
They're wearing masks. They're good.
That mask don't cover his mouth though.
He might have to huff some Dave.
He's gonna huff some Dave.
He's gonna huff some Dave.
Never playing Kentucky ever again, or wherever the heck he would see him at.
Vessel, I'm coming for you.
Because you'd have to drop money on the Sleep Token ticket first.
Booty pudding.
Oh God, I love the term. I haven't had it here in a while, but it just brings up such imagery every time you say fucking booty pudding.
Booty pudding. I used to call it a Star Wars swamp shit too, like where you got the. Sorry, everybody that's listening to this podcast. But where there's a little bit of floating on the top, but it's mainly just like a brown ass bowl because you had liquid shits. That's like Dagobah. But yeah,
to be honest, I've had diarrhea the past few days.
So I call that the Star Wars swamp shit. But
so I've been very familiar with that since.
There's many variations of poop, y'all. Just live up to it and talk about it. I think we'll all feel a little better if we're a little more open about our bowels, by God.
Oh, yes. We are very open here on the Heavy Haystack podcast with
For Sleep Token, I'll open my bowels anytime.
But yeah, I think it's just something I would say, I wish that the one day us in Storm Toker can get popular enough to where somebody farting at our shows is headline news. That would be quite the achievement, I would say.
That's the only thing I want to be in the news for.
Sort of nasty fart bled out at.
I want a fucking poop shot compilation of people farting at our shows over the course of an entire tour.
Yeah, don't encourage.
Kind of like what I was trying to get going at the Flock of Moon show, where I was like, "Hey, there's Flock of Moons. Everybody moon them while they're playing."
Yeah, I don't think everybody appreciated the joke quite as much as you did. I guess.
And they're coming to Lexington, boy, and I'm gonna get a team of asses, by God.
A team of ass for Flock of Moons to be mooned at.
There'll be some nice ones in there, mainly mine. Again, by myself.
Most likely. All right, I feel like there was a South Park episode like this where Carmen tried to organize a prank where everybody mooned somebody, but he was the only one that actually did it.
That sounds about right. Sounds about the execution I'm capable of pulling off.
Oh man. But yeah,
there'll be a legion of David Knights one day that shine their ass when I ask.
Oh, man. But kudos to Sleep Token and Vessel for staying in character despite someone ripping a nice loud one at their show. But speaking of shit, we have some not so fun shit to talk about with this.
This band sucks live too.
They do.
As far as I'm concerned.
Of course, this is a band that I've just recently got into in the past few years.
Excuse me, y'all. Except for not really. You get what you pay for.
Oh boy, which is nothing. Which, by the way, you should. Well, I got no really way to pay. Like for y'all to pay yet. I don't have Patreon or anything yet. But if you want to fucking buy Storm Toker merch or tell your friends about this podcast, please do. So eventually I'll feel not bad about trying to charge people shit.
One day.
But this next story is a not so fun one. And like you said, the phrase that I never thought I'd really have to say, but it's a like trigger warning possibly for this next story for the old SA sexual assault stuff.
I mean, as long as there's metalcore, we'll...
Yeah, like if it's involving a metalcore band, so that's your warning right there. I'll probably put a time step in here for like once we're done talking about the story in the show notes later. But the guitarist for the band Between the Buried and Me, Dusty Waring, has been accused of sexual assault, of both sexual assault, or more specifically, date raping a woman and impregnating her 5 years ago. After a show somewhere. I don't think they listed the exact location. An anonymous Redditor, anonymous woman on Reddit, posted a story talking about the run-in she had with Dusty Waring 5 years ago after going to a Between the Buried and Me show. She said that like she had to get details of some of the event recollected by her friends because she was drinking heavily throughout that day. And at the bar that her and her friends were hanging out at after the Between the Buried and Me show, Dusty Waring came in and she went up to him and started striking up a conversation, basically wanting to meet like the guitarist for one of her favorite bands and all that, and they started a conversation. And she was already very drunk and intoxicated during this time, and apparently, according to her friends, Waring was trying to get her to drink more and get even more plastered as the evening went on. Apparently they went into a bathroom in the bar, and apparently Dusty Waring kind of forced herself on her, or either like she was too inebriated to remember the whole event because she with the text message screenshots she posted that were sent back and forth. She said she didn't remember any of the events going on, but Waring admitted to like having sex with her and asking if she remembered anything or not. After the occasion, she found out she was pregnant, and she later terminated the pregnancy. And she said that it took her a long time to be able to relay the information, and that she felt really guilty about it and wanted to post the information of that onto Reddit and onto the internet just in case there were any other victims. Due to this claims coming up, Dusty Waring is not going to be on Between the Buried and Me's upcoming Parallax 2 tour. There's going to be a fill-in guitarist in his place, and he said he's going to stay at home and deal with this with both his family and his band privately and try to maintain his own sobriety that he says he's kept for years. So this is a whole shit show of a story through and through, pretty much.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that last detail either, that apparently that he had, gotten sober too. Because, I mean, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah, he claimed in the text messages that he was intoxicated as well during the event.
Yeah.
But if he's purposefully, trying to apply the girl with, more drinks while she's already visibly intoxicated.
There's no justification. It's just one of those things that... The only thing that could possibly suck is that if he is trying to be a better human now, and then now this is coming out 5 years later, and hopefully it all gets handled in the best way possible by all parties. But this just goes to the same old shit, man. Just don't be a shitty person. Don't do shitty stuff. If you can't handle the party, don't fucking party.
Yeah, apparently since he felt the need to get sober, it's apparent that drinking was an issue for him.
So that's one thing I'm going to say is I hope that he is on that path to being better and that this doesn't trigger him to, jump back in or anything, especially since he's clearly not the best of people when he's in such states. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just unfortunate how fucking common this is, and it's even on a local level. You hear a lot of stuff. And, there's some stuff that I questioned for a while that some people have said about some people that I know, and I've gotten some actually recent confirmations on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like one of those things. It's like, fuck, You hear the worst. You always want to like make the best of the worst when you hear it, because you're just like, okay, how bad is it? And then you see a story like this where, like I said, I think it certainly could have been a lot worse. I've heard a lot worse details of situations like this, but that's still pretty goddamn bad, and especially with the, like finishing the job and
and like pregnancy happening.
No protection, and this chick was already clearly inebriated when it started. It's just like, man, y'all, it's just, we've seen too many stories of people fucking up. There's like a fucking exact goddamn like, hey, don't do this. We all have heard and seen enough to know how to behave. And
it's almost like, sadly, it's such a common problem that's happening that it's a meme now. That it's just something that,
you're in a core band, you're gonna fucking be misogynistic or fucking hit your girl or something bad towards women, and it's just. But like even then, I'm just talking on a greater music, world thing. It's like dude, you take what little power you get from it, and you take advantage of it to a point that you're fucking, like I say, you're just a goddamn dick.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, like, if there's no real way, like, if like all of this happened as, like she said, it did,
and you're a goddamn successful musician, you couldn't get it from somebody that had their senses about him.
Yeah, like she apparently, like the woman all said that he's 12 years her senior. I don't know like how old Waring is. He has to be in his like mid to late 30s by now, if not 40s.
Well, I know on the last episode I made a little bit of a joke about checking IDs, but I was talking more back in the day. This is 5 years ago.
Yeah, this is 5 years.
We should have learned by now what the wrong behaviors are. Like I'm not.
And there's plenty of examples in our own music scene.
Like I'm not sympathetic to any of these dudes that get fucking complete, because like. And you can be weird, you can be awkward, you can fuck up, but like you can't be doing this shit. You just can't. And I'm tired of hearing about it, and I'm tired of people having to go through it. And it's like people I know that have to go through it or have gone through it, or it's just it's fucking dumb. It's a wider issue than it should be, and that's the thing that sucks about a lot of these situations. They end up he said, she said. So it is hard just to outright be like, fuck these people.
And it's a lot harder for.
But if these motherfuckers, learn a damn thing or two and don't fucking engage with people when they're, gone, we wouldn't have the fucking conversation in the first place. So just be fucking smarter. Goddamn, everybody be smarter.
Be smarter, be better people, be the best person you possibly can be. Because it's always a terrible situation with these, because because even with all this info, basically we all have to go off of like the word of like one person versus another person.
And there's never 1,000 fucking witnesses, because
Yeah, there's never witnesses. There's no concrete evidence. Like all we know is that they did have sex. The only thing is like, was it? Well, it obviously wasn't consensual, but like it's one of those things. There's a whole lot of muddy water with that. But it definitely seems like he's definitely guilty of like. It's the way it's sounding. Sound like he's like,
yeah, because I mean this story sucks and it seems pretty fucking legit. But I've also been on the other side of it where people are fucking just exaggerating shit to be fucking pissy towards somebody because they had a bad situation. So
yeah,
that's why I'm kind of just leaving it at everybody be smarter, be better people to each other. Don't fucking take advantage of people that aren't in their right goddamn frame of mind. Like we know better. Be better people.
Yes, like if for anybody out there that's in an influential position, whether it be in a band or anything else where you have like a notable power over people or anything like that, be mindful. Don't take advantage of people. It should go without saying, but sometimes it's good to have that reminder for folks. But in slightly brighter news, okay, not exactly brighter news.
Is the bottom bun of the sandwich got a little mold on it?
This mold does have mold on it.
Shave it off.
It does have some mold on it. There is other stories, but nothing that's really like super cheer-uppy. But there's this is another one with some people being not the greatest people in the music world.
No, but this is great.
Well, I thought it would be great until, well, let's get into the details. This is a story that many people
White
probably heard
trash
about
nightmare.
already. Crazy Town. Crazy Town, famous for their old classic new metal hit, Butterfly. Sugar Butterfly, Sugar Baby. You know that one. That whole deal.
Honestly, I have no idea.
You know this song. You
I
know it if you heard it.
I love the fight too. The fight was hilarious.
The fight. Okay, well, all right. Anyway, like the details of this
Took
is
me
that-
back to childhood.
Crazy Town. The band Crazy Town was kicked off of their tour with Head PE for getting into a fight while out on tour, with a lot of the issues like revolving around vocalist Seth "Shifty Shellshock" Benzer.
What a douchey fucking moniker.
Essentially what happened during this, like, there was some issues going on with this tour already with Shifty. At one show that the band performed at, first off, this tour is part of the New Metal Madness Tour 2, which involves Head PE, Crazy Town, Edema, and Tantric.
New Metal Madness, and it's like,
It is the C-tier new metal bands.
oh yeah, like C and D, man. Like,
I guess Crazy Town counts as...
I worked at Tantric Edema show like a fair amount of time ago. That sounds so weird to say, but
what is it, 2002?
no, this was like around, like Edema had just started trying to come back. There was like fucking 16 people at that motherfucking show.
Yeah.
Like it was thin, and it was both of them. And there was like a couple good locals. I will say, Mark Chavez or whatever is one of the coolest dudes I've met like throughout the years.
Yeah, so at least somebody is staying cool.
Super sweet guy. At least in that context, that night and that show, we had a really good time with him. You know, even though it wasn't the most they weren't being dicks about the situation they were in. Put it that way. They had a good time. They made the most of it. But
yeah, like that makes it a lot. That makes it real respectable. That's always something you can appreciate.
Like I said, because when I was thinking about it, because it was funny, like I didn't realize who it was, and then they started playing "The Way You Like It," the main song that I remember from them.
Yeah,
and I looked over at my sister, and she was singing it word for fucking word. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And like I was like maybe 8 when she was like cranking this fucking song over and over.
You're like,
over.
I listened to, like, I get if it's their big song, like I probably listened to it once. I've never really listened to Edema much.
So it's funny. She was that was some shit she wore the fuck out. And then Edema actually got on. They were on the Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance game.
Wait, they were on that?
They actually have like if you go to the option, there's like a music video of Edema.
I had that game. I don't remember this.
Well, I'm just letting you know it exists. I think the song was called Immortal.
I guess like that must have been like the crypt or whatever you had to unlock or something. Maybe I don't know.
No, I think it was just in the options, dog. Like I think it was just like the theme song thing that they did for it.
Remember back when they put new metal in all the video games?
But no, that was what was funny because I talked to him about that, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, like we were on like Burger King cups and shit." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they were huge. They were pushing them hard.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it was like the Mortal Kombat crossover thing.
Yeah.
So like they had like really close to mainstream success. I mean, pretty much those couple songs. I mean, they were mainstream successes because that Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance was
that was a real popular game.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of the best ones of the 3D Mortal Kombat era, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, what the fuck ever. This tour does not sound very inspiring.
Like I've seen Head P live before at Cosmic Charlie's here in Lexington before. They were an entertaining show, but they were playing a lot of reggae-ish stuff, which I'd never heard from them before.
They're tired of their bullshit too.
Yeah, I was like, I'm used to like all their like upbeat, punky rap rock hits and all that, Bartender and all that other stuff. But it Raise Hell, that was another big one of theirs. But essentially, like Seth Benzer, aka Shifty Shellshock, I'm just gonna call him Shifty.
Yeah, like don't give him.
He was having issues all throughout. So on one show, apparently he got mad that he couldn't hear himself in the monitors, so he kicked the monitor off stage during one of the shows. And then the next day,
that's more common than you think.
That is pretty common. But then the next day is when the fight happened. Apparently there's a fight that's available to see on YouTube where Shifty is in a fight with his co-vocalist by the name of his co-vocalist Bobby Reeves. where they're getting in a fight. Apparently, Rich Shifty's yelling at Bobby about like not getting his guarantee for the show, but it's for a show he didn't play. He was a no-show for that show, and Bobby Reeves had to do the whole show by himself. So, and it's like Butterflies gets a song that really requires two people to sing, I guess. So he was real salty about that. They got into a fight. Watching the video, I was expecting it. For me, I thought it was going to be funnier than what it was. It just wound up being real sad.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Well, plus the dude, I mean, didn't Bobby Reeves get his ass kicked?
Bobby Reeves got his ass kicked bad, but he was also like he was like calling Shifty the N-word and all that for whatever reason. And
so it's like Shifty's a dick, but you got this other white guy calling him the N-word.
And he was threatening to murder his family and his kids during this thing too, by the way, while getting his ass kicked. And then he kept going back and forth between like, I love you, man. I would never steal from you, and I'm gonna kill your whole family. Turn back and forth like Bobby. This is Bobby Reeves is saying to Shifty.
Yeah, Shifty sounded like it. Like, yeah, there's no winners in this story.
Yeah, neither one of these guys seemed pretty like good at all. Head P kicked him off the tour with like the frontman of Head P making a statement that if it was just like a little fight that happened like on its own, they wouldn't have kicked him off the tour because they've said the Head P's had their own craziness in the past. But he said that the band Crazy Town have much deeper issues than just this one fight.
Methamphetamine,
yes,
or something, because that's not the behavior of coherent human beings.
Yes. This fight apparently happened in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And speaking of which,
and nobody gave a fuck to get between the two.
I remember like
the whole video, people were just sitting around. It's like it's just another day, and that's the thing that's stupid about it. It's like they probably do this so goddamn often that nobody around them gave a fuck till it got to like, oh, okay,
so like let's just let them have it out.
This might be getting dangerous for one of them. Let's stop that. And
yeah, but speaking like on top of the story, after I don't know if it was the evening of this fight happening or the day after, but
it looks like if anybody knew what they were doing, they could just probably put them to sleep
probably
pretty quickly.
But after this event happened, old Shifty Shellshock got arrested for DUI in Myrtle Beach. Like the day after of this fight happening. He was reported swerving in a black SUV and got pulled over after like some people called reporting the vehicle. He got pulled over, failed a sobriety test, and got hit with a DUI while in Myrtle Beach. So
when they lock him up, they should fucking force him to listen to Stained.
God. Who would I rather listen to? Stained, sadly. It'd still be Stained more so than Crazy Town.
Yeah, actually, Aaron Lewis might be slightly more likable than Crazy Town.
You found somebody who's more likable.
I mean, I don't know as much about Crazy Town, so...
Yeah, they apparently were, besides Butterfly, their songs are normally a lot more punky and harder than that song.
I bet they perform harder than Aaron Lewis, that's for damn sure, but...
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know, Dante. That story is pretty methed up. What's next?
that transition that's part of the sourdough shit sandwich for sure. That's a little more shit that got on the bun on that one. But
it's like the onion bun at Arby's that had too many onions clumped up on it.
But hopefully old Seth Shifty Benzer can get the help he needs to get better. Because I heard he was just on a podcast. I heard he was on the freaking Punk Rock NBA podcast talking about how he's gotten sober. He's been making strides in his life. And then I'm assuming like a month after that podcast came out, this happens.
I'm usually a musician lying about how they're really doing. I'd say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so in the words of Weezer.
It's pretty messed up.
Pretty messed up. But speaking of, well, there's no meth with this band, but probably some cocaine somewhere in their history. Aerosmith has officially announced a farewell tour.
There's a lot of things in that history.
Yes. Aerosmith announced a farewell tour. Their founding drummer, Joey Kramer, will not be involved, but not due to any bad blood. He says that he decided to stay home due to health issues. He's had like back problems and all that, and decided to just spend time with his family at home.
Drummers get old, man.
Drummers do get old, and like doing touring that long on the road, it hurts your bones. But this farewell tour is going to run through September of this year, all the way through January of 2024. Their last show is going to be in Montreal, Quebec. They do have a show in their hometown of Boston on New Year's Eve, but that's not going to be the final show of this farewell tour, oddly enough. If anybody in the Kentucky area wants to see Aerosmith on this farewell tour. They will be playing in Louisville at the Yum Center on January 7th, one of the last dates of this tour.
I've heard the prices are pretty absurd.
I would imagine. I mean, like, I'm just hoping they don't try to pull a Kiss, because I don't know if they've done any, like, farewell tours before this.
I would not. I don't know. I almost feel like I guarantee they have, but I haven't. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I heard something advertising that tour, and they said that the greatest USA rock and roll band.
Yeah, I've seen her have that title for a lot.
And
I don't know if they said the best selling or just the greatest or what the term was.
This particular one was greatest. Well, I mean, it's hard to actually dispute it, though. I mean, if you're just talking about
because a lot of the big bands I think of are usually British.
I'll say when you're talking longevity and just, record sales and just relevance and the whole nine, and plus the crossover appeal when they did the stuff with like Run DMC and all that.
Yeah.
Like they stayed hipper longer than a lot of bands. I mean, and really, like when you're thinking about the competition there, I mean, you could definitely argue Van Halen.
Yeah, I think I'm just not as familiar with Aerosmith as I am with Van Halen. Probably.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was just one of those things that made me think, but I also was like, I can't sit here and be like, nah. Like it's a legit thing that you could probably say.
Yeah.
Because again, most of my favorite bands are not American.
Yeah, that tends to be the thing. A lot of my favorite bands, well, out of that classic era now. And like
I said, they stayed on that level for a long time. Because like I said, late 70s through probably early 90s, they were still pretty good.
They're still around and still
they were relevant. I would say they were relevant well into the 90s on the MTV stuff. Because I remember the Beavis and Butthead VHS I had that I've referenced, I think maybe once on here before. Maybe not.
You've mentioned it before.
I'd say, but yeah, the VHS tape, like there was a commercial that was like almost every other commercial break that was fucking Steven Tyler. So it's like, their relevance stretched for a long time.
The whole reality,
and he's been on TV for fucking ever now.
Yeah, that's helped to keep Aerosmith's name out there.
So I mean, when you say greatest USA rock and roll band, I mean, I think it's them and Van Halen with a coin toss, probably. But
probably, I feel like a lot of, especially in the metal world, a lot of people are going to say Van Halen most likely because just the guitar influence of Van Halen.
Joe Perry's a bad motherfucker too, though.
Joe Perry is a bad motherfucker, but they're definitely more in like the rock.
I'm not super into either one of them, but Aerosmith, like the songs I like by Aerosmith, I fucking love. Like
I do enjoy
Sweet Emotions got one of the heaviest riffs of all time, dude. That was a terrible rendition of it.
It was well, yeah, like the other part of it.
Yeah, get with it, dog.
Yeah, okay.
Get with it.
Anyway, Aerosmith.
Get hip to the Smith, brah.
Get hip to what? Get hip to the Smith.
Get hip to the Smith, brah.
I don't know what. Are we talking Hammersmith? What?
Aerosmith. You fucking wankfest. What are we talking about? Damn, Dante.
Aerosmith, yes.
Who's on drugs?
You are, but you function better on them.
Clearly, you need more. Get you some Adderall or some shit.
Yeah, I don't do enough drugs. But yeah, Aerosmith on a farewell tour.
Get hip to the Smith. The fuck you mean Smith? I have no idea what you could possibly be talking about.
It's been a long day, people, okay? I worked earlier today. It was a hard day. Anyway, speaking of rock and roll, don't laugh at me, David. Fuck you.
That was pretty great. I'm just saying.
Shit.
The fuck you mean, Aerosmith?
Look, I have my dumb moments sometimes, okay? Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The official inductees have been announced.
No Iron Maiden.
No Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden has...
And Rolling Stone, who sucks, is even mad about that.
And Rolling Stone, we talked about their list of greatest metal songs. They suck it a lot. But like Rage Against the Machine is the most notable inductee out of the hard rock and metal world. Other inductees for this year include Willie Nelson, Missy Elliott, George Michael, Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, and the Spinners. Yes, we had. I think we talked about this before when they first announced the nominees.
Yeah, that's what got me on the Show Crow fan club.
Yes.
But yeah, quit being disrespectful.
Yes.
Put Iron Maiden in. If a Missy, like we all love Missy around here. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not over Iron Maiden.
Not over. Even if we just open this up to the Music Hall of Fame.
And you don't need a lot of fucking metal bands in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Iron Maiden's just one that you have to put
You
in.
have to fucking
You have to have Sabbath, which they did. You have to have Metallica, which they did.
There's like a dozen in the history of metal that deserve to be there.
Yes. On the nominees list they had for this year in the hard rock and metal world, Iron Maiden and Soundgarden as well was on the ballot, but neither one of those made it in. Rage Against the Machine did, though.
We love us some Missy, but come on now.
Yes, which I do say Rage Against the Machine should be in there, but Iron Maiden should be in there before nearly just about everybody who's been in there for a good while now.
The most relevant band with the least amount of radio play.
Yes.
Probably in the history of the world. Because, there are a couple songs you'll hear on the radio every now and again. In Kentucky, it's very, very few and far between. You almost never hear Maiden on the radio. Yeah. Said, I think I got in House of Hair, like Run to the Hills, D. Snyder, like once or twice. And it's like, that's it.
And sometimes the Trooper. I occasionally hear the Trooper on the radio sometimes. But, yeah, like...
I could probably count on one hand how many times I've heard Iron Maiden in my life on the radio. And that's just for this state. So I could imagine, especially through the Bible Belt of the country, you don't get a lot of Maiden on the radio.
Not a whole lot of Maiden. Interesting thing, like I'm starting to think that like them not putting Iron Maiden in is starting to become a publicity stunt for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The director of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, when asked about the leaving Iron Maiden out of the official inductees for the second time now, he said that he's glad that people care so much about the inductees, is what he said. And said that he's sure that Iron Maiden will be in the Rock Hall eventually. Because they're too important to not eventually be inducted in.
Yeah, but see, that's what's weird about that shit. Like, why is it like song and dance, pop and circumstance, this, that, and the other? It's like, does somebody deserve to be there or do they not? Like, why is it got to be like, oh, we got 20 finalists and we're just going to pick
these few here?
And you're going to sit here and be like, oh, they're all deserving. Like, dude, it's a fucking tourist attraction. And yeah, I understand not like letting like 100 bands in a year, but like, dude, just make your class bigger.
Do we really need George Michael in there before Iron Maiden?
Do you need any of them? I mean, Rage, yeah, okay, cool, but like, are they more relevant? They're more relevant in America.
They're more relevant in America. They're relevant in general, but even with all the impact and high importance that Rage Against the Machine has in the music world, Iron Maiden still deserves to be in there before them.
100%.
But yeah, this is something we'll surely be talking about again next year once the nominees pop up once more.
Iron Maiden either randomly gets in and we just have to be like, oh, well, thanks.
But I know that I forget if it was either this year or next year, but Limp Bizkit will be eligible next year for sure.
It's like telling somebody with like $1 million, they're like, I'm really hungry, I just would like a biscuit. And they finally give you like a biscuit like 3 days later, and you're supposed to be like grateful that you got the biscuit.
At least you got the biscuit, bitch.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least we gave you a biscuit. It's like, man, fuck up. Put Iron Maiden in the Hall of Fame. Give me my metal biscuit. Goddammit.
Speaking of importance in
I don't even need gravy.
Speaking of importance in metal, this is a real interesting thing. This is something a little bit different. Are you aware of the magazine, or online website metal magazine, The Pit?
Vaguely. Yeah, is that the ones that did like the like tight space live video of like Mastodon? Is it like a subject of is it a sub thing, a Kerrang or something?
I'm not sure.
I feel like I've heard of it.
It might be, but it's one of those mini metal websites. But an article I saw earlier today was that the Pit named what they claim to be the 10 most important metal bands of today. And the list, I agree with a good amount of it, but they also had some notable snubs on here. I'll go through the list of bands here. There's 10 bands that are on the most important metal bands today, and you are familiar with most of these. I know. I'm listed in order that they wrote down. They didn't say that this was in any particular order of importance, but this is just the order that they listed in the article.
Yeah.
The first one they talked about was Ghost, which that's
Agreeable. I mean, they've pretty much transcended the highest of anybody.
Yes, they've like opened up for Metallica. They're like the newest band to go from newest band who started the latest to get up to arena level.
We've seen them from clubs to opening for arena shows to now headlining arena shows.
Yes.
And it's legit.
And definitely act as a very strong gateway for a lot of people getting into hard rock, heavy metal, and heavy music in general.
And fuck these people that talk so much shit about them like they didn't fucking...
Ghost isn't metal.
Like they weren't banging that first album
Ghost
like it was
isn't metal, bro.
the fucking future of everything. And everybody started playing Doom and Occult after that.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's been ripping them off, but yet they talk shit about it.
Yes, like they came up during, like around 2010. That was when a big occult rock boom was like really in full force.
Yeah, and there's a ton of bands I listen to that's like, if Ghost didn't make that popular at the time, I don't know if everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah. Number 2 on the list, another name that you're well familiar with, Spirit Box.
Yeah, we'll see. I told you I'd go deeper into that. I have not yet. But
Spirit Box definitely, as far as like in the whole metalcore world, they're definitely one of the bands that are part of a growing trend of bands implementing pop music and electronics into the metalcore sound and making it even more accessible for.
I just hate the term important because you don't know legacy till you project that later.
Sure, they do only have one full length album out today.
At least with like Ghost, you have like the full trajectory, and you could point to a legacy even if they ended like today.
Yeah, they have a
Spirit
5
Box,
album like run.
Spirit Box, if they shit the bed and don't put anything out in the next 6 months, we're not talking about them in 5 to 10 years in the same way we're talking about Ghost. So
with the level of like
one's 100%, one's about 50-50.
Yeah.
They could definitely
have a lot of buzz right now.
They could definitely be important. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like relevant or important, and I would say that's more on the relevant scale right now.
More so than important.
Yeah.
I can say that influence-wise, I think that as far as influence, they're more a result of stuff that's been influential rather than a cause of stuff being influential.
And that's what I'm saying. Time will tell.
Yes. Number 3 they put on the list, Lorna Shore. I'd say definitely are in the important side
for
of
the
things.
style that they have and how much they've transcended already, and the fact that there's a lot of bands wanting to do that now. Yes.
Given
that goes more in the importance. I mean, they got the relevance thing down too, but
which they've been doing the black and death metal thing, black and deathcore specifically, has been a thing for like a long time now. This has been like long running, but adding in some phonics has been something relatively new in the deathcore world.
Like I said, you haven't seen a band traject that far up that quick.
Yes, they are.
That's that extreme.
Yes, like a band of that level of extremity, getting past 1 million monthly Spotify listener mark and headlining major festivals with pop acts is something that's ridiculous. It's something that's like rarely been achieved.
So they got 2.5 out of 3 so far.
2.5 out of 3. So Lorna Shore, their buzz around them is high, and they've also have bands already ripping them off already. Friggin' even one of their peers, friggin' Shadow of Intent, released a new song which sounds like a ripoff of a Lorna Shore song, squeal like snarls and all, even, which is kind of weird. Number 4 is a band that I don't think you are actually familiar with, a band called Jesus Piece. Jesus Piece is out of the hardcore world. They are from New England. They came up around the same time as other hardcore bands like Knock Loose and
I've heard the name a lot.
They just released a new album that came out about 2 weeks ago. They kind of bring like a new metal edge to their hardcore sound. Highly abrasive, very groovy though with their sound. I did enjoy the recent album of theirs, and they've gotten a lot of buzz over the past 6 or 7 years or so since they've really been like around.
So is that pretty much them trying to point to them as a possibility why the hardcore resurgence is? Yeah,
which the hardcore resurgence has already been going on. It's really like where a lot more
prevalent here in the last little bit here.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, like it's definitely part of the big resurgence of things going on.
So I won't disagree with that one entirely, but I am concerned that I don't like fully like recognize it right away.
Yeah, things like. They're part of a scene that's definitely like really important and growing right now, but I don't know if Jesus Piece specifically would be the band I would pick to be the representative of that.
Yeah, so we'll just say they missed on that one. Fuck it.
Which actually, like, with their spot, they actually like will be involved with one of the snubs that I'll mention at the end of this list.
Okay.
Number 5, Sleep Token.
I mean, can't deny it.
Yeah, that's kind of undeniable. We've talked a lot about Sleep Token on this episode even.
Well,
We just talked about how like somebody farting out the show is a headline.
Yeah, and I see people doing fucking YouTube covers and shit all the time now, and like, yeah, like it's got the influential and everything. I mean, it's still a little fresh for it to be fully like
But given
influential.
like this upcoming
But I would
album,
definitely argue that there's more people trying to be that than there is Spirit Box. So
yes, this upcoming album will be album number 3 for them, and they already had like a whole lot of underground buzz before their January singles dropped, which blew them up to arena level status.
no.
Number 6 is a band that I've only heard from like other music podcasters talking about, but I have not heard them myself yet. And it's a band called Zulu. I think they might be from the UK. They're known for mixing together soul and R&B with hardcore and metalcore influences, all into like a unique package.
That sounds like somebody likes them and is just trying to project.
I think they may be. I think the thing with them is that they're more popular in the UK still than they are in America.
Yeah.
So like they're making a lot of buzz in Europe, but here in the States, it hasn't quite caught on yet. I haven't seen too many Western groups and Facebook pages and stuff talking about them yet.
Yeah, when you're putting the word important in there, like I said, just because it's like some niche of people thinking it's the shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like for that one, of course, I wish I've listened to them a bit and like was a bit more knowledgeable on Zulu to really be able to comment on that one way or another.
But I feel as plugged in as we are, we would know more.
Yeah, I've heard the name
if
around.
you were truly important.
Yeah, I've heard the name around, but like that's, I'm not sure if important is the term that you'd really, they're definitely interesting. There's a lot of buzz.
Well, anytime somebody does one of these lists, it's like, oh, top 10 quarterbacks of the upcoming season. They're always going to throw like one or two in there that could, just to get people talking and get the clicks going.
Yeah,
So this dude's trying to do a favor probably on Zulu.
possibly. This next one is
It's like more motherfuckers need Zulu.
y'all motherfuckers need Zulu.
Yeah.
This next one is undoubtedly important. Bring Me the Horizon. They are definitely
Yeah.
out of any band that's like been ahead of the curve and setting trends rather than following them. Bring Me the Horizon is the definition of that. Every trend that's happened in heavy music in the past 10 to 15 years, they've led. The deathcore thing, they were like one of the leading bands of that. When bands started putting new metal into their heavy stuff, they did that first. When bands started doing like the post-hardcore stuff the Spirit Box is doing now, they did that first with Sempiternal. When they started bringing pop into stuff, they did that first with this That's the Spirit and Amo albums. And they've managed to get to like pop level status working in artists like Halsey and like Young Blood and many other like mainstream pop names while still having a degree of like heaviness and like actual guitar music into their sound.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the most influential bands of the past decade for sure.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I agree with all that. So
Yeah. Like that's out of all these bands on this list, honestly, they might be the top band neck and neck with Ghost, if not more higher than Ghost, honestly. As far as like importance wise and influence wise for sure. Because
they stretch a little further back than a lot of those bands too.
yeah, they were coming up when Suicide Silence was coming up.
Yeah, like 2006, 7.
Yeah, like I think that Pray for Plague, that was 2007 or 8 when that came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been around for a while. They've influenced a whole lot. And now everybody's trying to be them now
Yeah.
for a lot of the heavy music
I mean,
world.
I will say even when I was in high school, everybody was into that shit. So
Oh, yeah. Number 8 is a band that is definitely unique. I'm familiar with them. I don't think you've heard of them. A band called Liturgy. Liturgy is a experimental avant-garde black metal project.
see, that's what.
And they're definitely like one of the most unique bands I've heard. Importance-wise,
All right, so is Zill and Ardor on this list?
sadly, no.
Because to me, what you just said, I'm like, yeah.
They're way more avant-garde than Zeal and Ardor is.
Well, okay, so that's my point, though. What would be more important? Like this avant-garde, like this very weird fucking bullshit that
yeah, like Liturgy is kind of like,
See, it's why I hate articles like this. Because, like, you're always going to throw a couple in that are like...
yeah, Liturgy is like a weird one to like put in that list because
Yeah.
as far as important, I don't know many bands that are trying to take influence from Liturgy, but they are definitely like unique. But I don't know if they have the popularity or buzz or anything. Like if you're in black metal circles or like in really music nerd circles, you might have heard of Liturgy, but important is not a word I'd really associate with them, I'd say.
There's something.
There's I don't know if you've seen Buzz. It's just like it's one that the music
nothing
nerds
about
know.
that band. So
I only know
if
about.
you're talking about Hype Trains and Buzz. It's not come around to me.
Yeah, like Liturgy, they're a band. Like if I wasn't a music reviewer, I wouldn't know about them.
And I'm not unplugged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not super plugged, but I'm not unplugged.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about top 10 important bands of the day, I feel like I should at least fucking know who they are.
At least I should know of the bands.
Yeah.
This next one is
And maybe I'm a dick. Comment and subscribe.
subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star rating, or don't, and tell us we suck.
Yeah.
Just interact. Number 9 on the list of most important metal bands of today, Sangui Sugabog. Sangui Sugabog, I can see why they would put them on this list. They're 2 albums deep, and they are kind of like the most.
See, but that goes back to projection.
Things like they've blown up really fast. Like they came up in 2020 during the pandemic. They've had like an EP before that was getting a lot of buzz. They're part of the movement of what I've been calling the new wave of American death metal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that they aren't important, but when you're saying most important, it's like.
That's because like I really would put them and Frozen Soul. I think are the 2 top names. Nope, Gatecreeper. I'd put Gatecreeper above Sangui Sugabog in this movement of new death metal that's been crapping around. This hardcore influenced death metal.
Yeah.
As far as band, because I feel like Gatecreeper's bigger, they're more experimental. They do a lot more with their sound, and they have just as much popularity. It's just been about I think 2021 was their last record.
And I mean, there are bands that are looking at that and wanting to do that. But again, I won't disagree with that one. I'll put that one at like a 70%, like sure. But I still feel like that's projecting out. Like I think it's like a hot band right now, but I don't.
They're a hot band. They're
being a hot.
They managed to they didn't go to a sophomore slump because their second album, Homicidal Ecstasy.
Going back to fucking sports metaphors.
Oh boy, here we go.
Well, I know, but you can fucking be the best quarterback in the league for fucking 6 weeks.
Shit, things are the same.
You're not the MVP of the season.
It's like most
You
important.
can have a better 6 weeks than anybody in the history of fucking football and not win MVP.
True.
You know,
I remember, I don't know much about sports, but I remember the whole thing in the NBA.
you can win MVP and be ass the next year.
Very true.
So,
Remember the whole deal with
like when you're talking important, I mean, I guess they're not talking greatness either. They're just saying important right now.
yes.
But, and like I said, but like I'm also questioning the time frame of like what they're allowing bands to be here, because like I'd even argue that because if you're gonna like Bring Me the Horizons is always like early 2000s.
Yeah, that's like a 20-year-old band there.
Yeah, so like, are we not talking Meshuggah and Gojira for the shit that they've inspired? You know, like
Yeah, because
I'm just saying, like, Bring Me the Horizons is stretching that pretty fucking thin. If you're talking like bands today,
well, I'd say like
they are relevant today.
I'd say with
but-
Bring Me the Horizon because they're still like innovating their sound and changing the sound so much where people are still trying to ape new stuff they're doing. They're definitely in the important category. For
Yeah,
sure.
well, I know I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying, like, when you're talking about this list, it seems like they got a couple hipster picks. Then they got that one band that's kind of been around too long to be like important.
Which things are like not including Meshuggah, I understand that because their impact was really made already, and like
Well, I know
their current stuff isn't really like pushing the envelope to new.
no, 100% understand that. I'm just trying to figure out what your parameter. Like the list doesn't seem like it has strict parameters.
Yeah,
Put it that way.
like Sangui Sugabog is a highly notable name. They're definitely a top 3 name in the new wave of death metal.
If you're saying top 3 name of that, they're supposed to be one of the 10 most important in the entire genre of metal.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're saying it's debatable whether they're the top one of those,
I guess to me personally, I'd say it's either them, Gatecreeper, or Frozen Soul out of the most important bands.
and I ain't hating like in this conversation. I'm just when you're using words, because like I said again with sports, when people talk about greatness, it's so fucking subjective.
Yes.
And you know, I think that when you're saying most important, with as broad of a genre as metal is, because like I said, I would say Zealand Art is more important than fucking half of them.
So with Zealand Art, though, there's been like a lot of people like Zealand Art. Definitely one of those unique bands doing a style that's like definitely their own. That's really interesting, but I don't think they've caught on enough to really where they're influencing people yet.
Well, Zulu, the avant-garde masterpiece, or whatever the fuck did.
Yeah, Zulu
That's what
is
I'm saying. Like that's all I'm saying. It's like
I've heard a lot more people talk about Zealand Art than they have about Zulu.
yeah,
or
well,
Liturgy.
exactly. Like I'm just going off what I know and what I've heard and what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And, that's what this list is is for people to debate.
Yes.
But, I just feel like if you're not, a fairly household name, it's hard for me to say you're most important.
Yes. Speaking of household names, number 10 is another one you're familiar with, Knock Loose.
And that's more irrelevant because, again, we're seeing it live and in living color in Kentucky.
Yes. They're from here.
If there's one band we can speak from experience, it's like there's 910 hardcore bands right now in Kentucky, all wanting to be the next Knock Loose in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so with Knock Loose, they're definitely leading the pack in the metallic hardcore category, where they are filling 1,000, 2,000 cap rooms, and depending on the place.
And so there might be other motherfuckers who are like, huh? What? And we're over here like, yeah, no, that one's a home run.
I know for every publication talks about Knock Loose, then they get all the coverage everywhere.
Oh, no, 100%. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they tour with Gojira, so we're let you know about anything. Which, speaking of which, going on to stuff that I considered snubs.
See, not to say Gojira, but it's is Lorna Shore not touring with them to get their next fucking,
Yeah,
their next rub? Did Knock Loose not tour with them to get their next rub? Did Poppy not tour with them to get their rub?
Yeah, I was thinking as far as important bands, Gojira is, especially they're still current. Their two most recent albums are the two most popular. Right now, and as far as straight up streaming,
and I say, you might be able to say, oh well, they've been around, but if you're talking about trajectory and bands that actually kind of grinded it to the top,
yeah, Gojira they didn't start hitting they didn't touch a mainstream until Magma, and that's 2016.
And I think because I don't know, the punk rock NBA or whatever fucking talking about Gojira was kind of a frustrating video.
He does a lot of frustrating videos.
Yeah, and I was just because he was talking about, well, there's really nothing special about him. I'm like, dude, you got one of the best drummers in the fucking planet. And if you're in a metal band and you got that metal drummer, because who looks at Mario and goes, oh, that dude, he ain't the one.
Yeah, no one just goes oh, it's just another metal drummer now. Everybody goes, holy fuck, Mario.
And even if you're not, because I've met people that aren't into Gojira, and they're usually these fucking vesty people.
The vesty people.
But, yeah, it's does Mastodon and Gojira not count? Because again, if you're talking about today, all those bands that are on that list are fucking gonna get their rub potentially from Gojira or Mastodon or whatever.
Or
two of them,
or Sanctuary Sugabak, they got their Cannibal Corpse in their category.
Two of them are literally making their way up. And say if you're gonna go Bring Me the Horizon and stretch it that far back. Why wouldn't, if Gojira is relevant, start in 2006 and it's advanced, to where it's at now?
Yeah, I'd say because in the metal world, but things they've been such a mainstream only in the recent years for Gojira. So I'd say they're still one of the most important bands right now. And speaking of other important bands right now,
it goes with the parameters of the list, though.
Yeah,
it's like I said, they said today, and they go with Bring Me the Horizon. And again, I get what you're saying with the progression of the sound and kind of spearheading the stuff, but it's just how is Zulu more important?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to pick on Zulu. I'm not picking on Zulu, I promise.
Zulu, I feel I'm just wondering if am I just ignorant on this shit with Zulu, or have I just not been not paying enough attention? Because I only heard Zulu on another podcast a month ago. I think they released an album this year.
Yeah.
And I must have missed it or heard nobody really talk about it or pushing it that hard. And in the West, in the North America, it's not really getting a lot of attention.
Well, like I said, most of that list is more contemporary, modern bands. But the Bring Me the Horizon does all of a sudden start bringing up the can of worms of the bands that we just named.
Things are Bring Me the Horizon's a special case, though, because every album, they're kind of pushing what's current right now and being a leader in what's right now. So that's a fair choice for me, I would say.
Yeah, but again, with the rest of it, it's all fairly new bands. So if we're going to say, I'll Bring Me Horizon for those reasons, again, your Lorna Shores and Knock Looses are getting their further rub up the ladder from bands like Gojira, who haven't been around that much longer as far as relevance goes.
Which Lorna Shore is a band that's been around for a long time. They just started getting to this high level of popularity in the recent years.
Yeah.
Because they've been around since at least 2012.
But that's still not the 2006, 4, 5 of these other bands we're talking about.
But the biggest snub I'd say that I noticed is Code Orange. That's one that hasn't been.
I feel like it's cooled off a little bit, though.
The only reason it's cool because basically it was just a timing thing for them. Because course, like they had the underground buzz with their second full-length album with I Am King. Then they had their major metal breakthrough with Forever. They started getting on WWE and all that shit. They were the talk of the town in the metal world. Everybody's like, oh my God, Code Orange. And everyone was super hyped up for their follow-up record. The third record in this like big buzz like time period is Underneath. Critically acclaimed, top of everybody's list, but the weekend that Underneath dropped, pandemic hit. They weren't able to tour on it. And they had to like basically make do with the live stream shows, which they had the most well-recognized live stream shows out of anybody during the heavy pandemic period where no shows are going on. And it still got critically acclaimed. Everyone's talking about it. They didn't get the tour on that record until 2 years later at the earliest. So I think that by the time their next record comes out, they'll be like talk of the town for everybody again. It's just the timing of when that they're supposed this is the breakthrough. This is supposed to be their White Pony, their fucking Mars is Sirius, their fucking.
You know who the
like,
biggest snub on this list was?
Who?
Graveyard Romeos.
That is a joke for the people that know us personally, for sure.
But,
man.
No, I'm trying to think of a serious one, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty solid list. I mean, again, I just question the parameters.
Yeah, I'm just really like bugged
like
about
said,
that Code Orange one because that's a major miss, especially if you're going to include Jesus Piece, who Jesus Piece opens up for Code Orange all the time, and like Code Orange is responsible for a lot of Jesus Pieces, like Renown getting coming up.
Little candy,
Jesus Pieces,
little stigmata hands, little gummy stigmatas. Jesus Pieces.
Yeah, but the thing is, like Code Orange is responsible for a lot of Jesus Pieces success. So, like, to not include Code Orange on this list, but put Jesus Piece instead seems odd to me. And another one on here, I don't know if you can really count it because they're not exactly a metal band. They're like metal. They're metal adjacent. All the Turnstile is one, which they're not a metal band. They're definitely they were in the hardcore scene. Then they've got mainstream popularity going into more of a alternative indie sound while still repping the hardcore scene. So that's kind of on, I don't know if they didn't want to count them because of them going into a softer sound, moving further away from heavy music.
Yeah, again, like I said, the couple of those picks definitely seem like they were picking shit that they're into. Like I said, I can't think of any Grant because, like I said, the only ones that are coming to my head, like I'm just thinking they're just too damn old.
You think like y'all the main singer around 20 years ago?
Yeah, but like I said, the Bring Me the Horizon is the only one that brings me pause when I'm thinking about that. Because like I said, if you look at the rest of the list, it would disqualify Gojira. But Bring Me the Horizon being on there, it's like,
so
as far as the relevance and the trajectory upward, obviously Gojira is probably not as big because they don't have as much of the poppy stuff. But
yeah, like Bring Me the Horizon, for comparison, Gojira, I see them like kind of topped out on Spotify with 2.2 million monthly listeners.
Yeah.
And Bring Me the Horizon, last I checked, was at close to 7 million.
Yeah, so, and I get there probably just was one spot for somebody like that on this dude's list. if I had to guess.
But yeah, that's a very like, there's a lot of like names that make sense on that list with a few odd caveats there. Those might be like personal, like, hey, you should listen to these bands, Zulu and Liturgy, or something like that.
Well, and you can do a top 10 list of every subgenre too.
True. There's always those that you can like switch names around, put different people there.
And like I said, this dude's.
But there are some like obvious ones: your Ghosts, your Spirit Boxes, your Lorna Shores. Those all Knock Looses. Those all.
I just feel like about 3 of those is just trying to put the crown on the pony before
it's actually like come to the show.
Before he's actually raced. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like he looks good. And he runs faster on the farm than everybody else does, but once he's got mud flying up in his face, can he make it? It is almost Derby weekend, so there's
a lot of horse references.
Here's your horse metaphors.
That's all of the major stories.
That's the laziest horse I've ever heard in my life.
I can't do a good
he
horse.
He would lose the fucking Derby in 2 seconds.
My horse has been doing some shrooms.
The only horse I got is cock.
Herbert horse cock over her. There's two minor stories that are here that I was just going to mention before we get on to the singles.
I know we're bloating this one the fuck up too.
A little bit. It's probably, I knew there was a lot of stuff to go over, so that's why I skipped the normal cold open for this one. Some minor stories. On the first date of Metallica's No Repeat Weekend tour that's starting over in Europe, Five Finger Death Punch was supposed to open for them on the first date of the tour, but they had to drop off. I forget the exact reason why.
They didn't call Storm Tugger?
They didn't call Storm Tugger, sadly, no. But they did have a very interesting replacement for Five Finger Death Punch. Floor Jansen, lead singer of Nightwish, symphonic metal band Nightwish, Finland's biggest musical export out of anybody, and the leaders of the symphonic metal genre. I believe it's just her solo band that was performing, performing for a Metallica crowd when fans that were there for Five Finger Death Punch, given this is Europe. So they'd be a little
Europe,
more.
Europe is weird, man.
Europe's accepting to a lot more than America.
I'll say they like all the mainstream bullshit and the underbelly, so.
Yeah, it seemed like she got a good response at the show for her performance. But I remember seeing comments under the thing where people were like doing a whole lot of the who's this, who's that. I was like, that's on you if you don't know who the fuck Nightwish is.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking white motherfuckers from America.
I was like, I need my American band.
With their goddamn tan lines from their goddamn beaters and fucking covered in, well, I was about to start describing Anthony. I was like covered in motor oil and...
That's our guitars. That's just Anthony too.
But no,
he's like all the way on the look, but not the mentality.
I was say he wouldn't be the douche. Well, he's not all the way on the look. He's a handsome fella. He's got all of his teeth.
He does have all his teeth.
You know, he's not.
He'll still smile.
He's not some scrawny ass fucking redneck white dude who's just like Metallica, Pantera, my best great band to fuck ever live, like 13-year-old me, essentially.
But yeah, just
13-year-old me that never grew up.
But that's an interesting switch. But from what all accounts, seems like the show was received well for Floor Jansen there.
At least it wasn't Aaron Lewis.
And another smaller story, Spite, metalcore band Spite. They played a show in Portland, Oregon. It's 5 years apart from the last time they played in Portland, Oregon, and for the second time in 5 years, they've had their shit stolen out of their van. The second time playing a show in Portland, Oregon.
Sounds like someone spites them.
Yeah, like apparently, like someone either has it out for spite or something, because to be robbed twice in the same city, years and years apart, is pretty shitty. They're never going to come back to Portland again.
I don't want to go to Portland now as we speak.
Like, Portland has been notable. I've heard a lot of news. Of course, everyone talks about how it being like a hippy-dippy, progressive, liberal city of pussies and all that shit. But there's been a lot of crime there as well. That's been pretty notable in recent years. And that's hit Spite hard, because I don't see them ever coming back to Portland at this rate if they keep getting robbed every time they come there. But yeah, that is just like a wild that twice in 5 years apart they got robbed. They've had 2 guitars stolen. They're still on the lookout for them. They posted pictures of the guitars that were stolen. And hopefully they will be able to get those back at some point in the near future. There's people in the comment section saying that they put out feelers to the local pawn shops and stuff to try to help the band get their equipment back. But don't steal shit, people. Bands are broke enough. Let them have their gear so they can entertain the people.
If you do, steal it from Aaron Lewis and sell it to us on the cheap.
I got this Aaron Lewis custom original guitar.
We just did where we haven't recorded, it almost just feels like this is like a continuation of the last episode.
Because we're still shitting on Aaron Lewis, even though he's not even a topic on this episode.
I know. It's just like we've gone so long with the gaps of recording that, like I said, for whatever reason, my brain's like almost on a continuation. I did actually listen to the episode because I thought I was a lot more boring than usual, but I was pretty well geeked out listening throughout. Even when I have no energy, I still say some ass neck shit.
Ass neck shit to the max. Speaking of some ass neck shit, I'm sure you'll have some ass neck shit to say about the next section. The heavy music singles. Starting with the heavy music singles, this is kind of unique because I have included 2 covers on this list of singles to talk about. And the first one of those will be the new single from Poppy, with her cover of the song Spit by the band Kitty. How familiar are you with... Well, you're so familiar with Poppy already.
So, okay. This explains a lot. Not because of the Kitty part, because I didn't even think... I know the song, but I didn't associate it when I was listening to here. Mainly because I haven't listened to it in probably fucking 20 years. Was not the biggest Kitty fan.
Came out in 1999 was when this came out.
So I probably haven't heard it since like 2005. And I was like, man, this is like vibing like Slipknot-ish.
Yeah, like basically the way that Poppy structured the song is that she took the new metal grooves of it, but gave it that Slipknot stomp to it.
Yeah, so, and actually I was enjoying the fuck out of it. So, now that I know it's a cover, I'm like those people that comment on our covers. And they're like, man, that song's badass.
This song's badass. Like, you got more of that style shit?
I'm like, yeah, like 30 years of Clutch, dude. Check it out.
Yeah, like Kitty's been a band for friggin' like 25 years now.
So, because I was also thinking, this isn't what Poppy usually sounds like.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, this is kind of because her music is like kind of like a pop infused industrial metal is what she normally does.
Yeah,
this is
not a lot of pop in that, dude. Like, that was pretty.
Like, this is the most I've heard her scream before.
Yeah, and
sure.
I was like, dude, I could actually get down with this.
Yeah, most of the time she just does like a typical pop vocal over heavy guitars and industrial riffs.
Yeah, no, I actually highly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
so,
like I was expecting it to be just kind of. I was expecting it to be this good. I popped it on. Like, I know I love that album from Kitty. I know the song pretty familiar with like Spit and that whole album actually. And listening to it, I was like, she did a really good rendition of this thing.
Yeah, no, she was, like, it was actually really good. Like, I was listening to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Slipknot vibe was what got me. You know, it was like 100%.
The thing with Poppy is like
sounds like 90s Slipknot with a pissed off chick, and that's kind of what Kitty was.
That is what Kitty was. It came out the same year.
I'm not surprised. So maybe I think Kitty fucks now.
Well,
Kitty fucks.
Actually, you would probably think Kitty fucks now because they're like way better musicians now than they were back then. They were 13 when they wrote it and 16 when they were playing it.
Yeah. Like I said, I never disliked Kitty. It just was not something I dug into.
Like
I had buddies that opened up for Kitty at one point.
Like, Kitty's pretty dope. Like, they've got back together, their live show. I've heard a live rendition of them doing their OG stuff. And Morgan Lander, the singer, her vocal ability these days is fucking nuts. Like, I heard like the live recordings from one of the shows that played at a festival, and her screams are scary. Like I actually like heard it just on recording in my head. I was like, God damn, she has power now, and she always like was an okay melodic singer, but she's like a way better melodic singer, and they also can shred now on guitar.
So I guess my verdict on Poppy's still out since this is a cover of a 90s.
But I would say, like, I do enjoy. I don't usually love a lot of what Poppy does, but it's always interesting.
I did try to listen to it when they were on that Gojira tour.
Yeah,
I wanted to dive into it a little bit, and because there was another band that was hyped up. So
yeah, like Poppy, like she was like Grammy nominated.
I wouldn't have been surprised if that ended up on that list of 10 important motherfuckers.
I think if she released an album in the past 6 months or so, she would have been, because like everybody was talking about Poppy when I Disagree first came out in like 2020 or 2019.
I didn't think about that till we started talking about this, but I could totally see them just from what the hype was.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I wouldn't be mad at them putting Poppy on it because she is doing something kind of unique in the heavy music sphere these days. At minimum, everything she's put out since she started going to this industrial sound has been at the least interesting, and some stuff that's actually enjoyable. I've added a lot of her stuff onto my own playlist that it's pretty good.
Like I said, I'll have to try again.
Yes, it's off the beaten path. I think she has an album coming out soon, or she's putting out a lot of singles. I haven't seen anything about an actual album announcement, but there should be something coming out soon. Second on this list, we have Kubla Khan with the new standalone single, Theory of Mind. Kubla Khan is part of this whole knock loose metallic hardcore boom that's been happening in the past number of years. Kubla Khan's highly praised band. Everybody like rides their dicks real hard, and they are really good. I enjoyed a lot of what they've done, including the song. They bring the brutality, they bring the chugga chugga real nice, bring that nice Texas hardcore flavor to their metallic hardcore world. What did you think of this one, David?
I actually really enjoyed it.
You actually enjoyed this one, okay? I didn't know if you would like this one.
At first, I was like, okay, But then, like, by the end, when it was just like, yeah, we're dumb heavy just to be dumb heavy, I was just like, for whatever reason, once a band just submits that as, like, the goal to me, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Like, they're, like, unabashed. Basically, like, they know what they are, and they embrace it to the fullest. Like,
it was fun.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I've kind of gotten with what I feel like with core. It's like, I like the funner shit.
Yes.
And this literally was just like, all right, yeah, let's make the dumbest possible, heaviest fucking caveman.
That dude, like, because it's just, like, the most angry sounding
Now, I
vocalist
will
ever.
say the fucking first things that comes out of the dude's mouth kind of geeks me out, too.
I forget what was
The first 4 words are monkey see, monkey do. And he's like screaming it like, you know, super hardcore. And
monkey say, monkey do.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what? But beyond that, that was like the only drawback I really had. But like I said, it was kind of like, all right, tropey. And then like it got to the point of so ridiculous.
I love the guitar tones.
It got so ridiculous that it came out on the other side for me. I fucking loved it.
It
Which
won
is
you
kind
over.
of, like I said, me with hardcore now, I'm a lot more open to it than I used to be.
I feel like you'd like. I saw them live before when they opened up for Casey Strain when I saw them at Tiger
And I
Room.
will say for a long time, and this is just my own dumbass, every time I saw their name, I thought of Gengistron, even though like has nothing to do with each other.
They're very different. bands.
Nothing to do with each other. But at the same time, it's just like, man, they've been around forever. It's like, no, that's not Gengistron. That's Kublai Khan.
Like I think their
I guess that's probably just why.
yeah, Kublai Khan, their breakthrough record was like 2017. They had the Hammer, which is their biggest song on it.
Yeah.
Which I think they've actually have songs more popular than that now.
And the thing is with hardcore, I'm never gonna like listen to a fuck ton of it in like one setting. But when I get on it, I'm fine.
I feel like it's one of those things that where like it's one of
It's like
those things-
death metal.
It's always fun to see live.
It's like death metal for me. I don't like listening to death metal on record. It's usually too much of a task on my brain.
yeah,
It's like I just got bludgeoned for fucking. Yeah, I remember when we opened up for Nile. Theories of the Apocalypse, not Stormtoker.
not so Tucker.
But
Bring us back now.
we opened up for fucking Nile, and like we were the only band on a 7-band bill that used the clean channel at all. And it's just like by the end of the night, you're like, fuck, I love Crisian Immolation and Nile back to back to back. But I also,
I like a breather every now and again.
yeah, it's just like, and I think it really helped us on that
It
fucking
helps you
particular-
stand out on that time.
on that particular show, because like, yeah, everybody, I mean, in the night there was people still talking to me, be like, hell yeah, man, blah blah blah. I was like, I mean, cool. But yeah, it was kind of one of those things where it's just like, fuck, like we're playing with some absurdly heavy bands. Are we even gonna fucking be able to keep up? And we did. I mean, fucking 17, 18-year-old Dave, whatever the fuck I was. What was that, 2010? Right before I turned 21. Or right before I turned 18. I was 17 still. Because it was February 13th, I believe. So that was like 2 weeks later. I was 18. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, it was just like, fuck. Are we gonna get booed? Are we
getting booed off the
Are
stage?
we gonna
of
do our
Nile?
pretty clean part in the middle of fucking United We Fall, and somebody kick us with a fucking
Like, boo, we need heavy.
like just a giant boots flies off from the side of the stage, knocks you off,
Yeah.
or some like giant robot with a broom.
Yeah. Like, all I could see was the cargo pants as I fell to the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Kublai Khan, absurdly heavy. Definitely one of my favorite newer hardcore bands that are on the scene right now.
Just goddamn, we go off on tangents. I have no idea how I got off on that tangent.
Talk about being absurdly heavy and being
Still don't remember
seeing
why I
death metal
connected the
live
two.
and all that.
Oh, I just started talking about death metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about how abrasive that shit
Yes,
is.
Kublai Khan, Theory of Mind. Good standalone single. I'm hoping for, like, it's been a while since we got a new full album from Kublai Khan.
See, another example of that, just so I can fuck the tangent up again.
Nice.
I've seen Cannibal Corpse like 4 times when they play with 3 bands or
Yes.
2 bands. Great fucking Cannibal Corpse set. When they play after 7 or 8, can't fucking do it.
It's like, tired. I'm tired, boss.
And it's the same thing. It was like Immolation, fucking Squelton Witch, Black Dahlia Murder, and just after. I know all these great bands, but then you get to Cannibal Corpse, and you're like, fuck, there's another band of
Seeing
this.
Cannibal Corpse on a death metal festival.
There's an
not the
hour
best.
and a half of another band of this on top of the fucking 8 hours I've already dealt with. So yeah, no, it's all subjective.
That
when
would
it
be a
comes-
struggle.
But yeah, Kublai Khan, tight,
Kublai Khan, Theory of Mind.
dummy as fuck, heavy.
Dummy
please,
heavy.
please listen to this song and be like, damn, Dave Dave's taste in music's gotten shittier. No, I'm just kidding.
It's Kublai Khan's. No one hates Kublai Khan.
Nah, that shit was tight. Like
But
I said,
for a band, I think that you are going to hate.
I turned this one off. He started singing, and I was like, "Fuck no, I don't have nothing on this one."
This next single we're talking about.
I'll sit back and let you talk about it.
The next single we're talking about is the new single from Attila.
Is this the second Attila song we've had on here?
Yes, this is the second single.
Did I turn off the other one? Because I've turned off maybe like 3 or 4 in the history of this so far.
Actually, I remember you say you did not get around to actually listening to it.
No, I've listened to everything.
Yeah. We might have missed one of the new singles actually that came out.
I've listened to everything, but I may have very well just either turned it off or said no.
Just like forgot about it or like get it out of my mind.
Or skipped it. I might have done that. I might have told you that. I might have just said fuck that and skipped it. I might not have listened to it. Man, after hearing this one, well, I didn't hear this one. I got about fucking 30, 45 seconds in.
You heard the clean singing and said nope.
It was just the way you did it. I gave him like a fucking...
But they had like the heavy breakdown part near the end that you brought back.
Yeah, well...
this new single...
If I'm on the ocean floor and I get brought up to about fucking halfway, I'm still going to drown Dante. I gotta get brought all the way up.
But Attila, Bite Your Tongue. This is a little bit different from a lot of Attila songs. They pulled a Bring Me the Horizon and like halfway through this one where it's basically kind of like a love song, oddly enough. Or at least a romance relationship song, sort of. It's a mixture of like poppy melodic chorus, which almost lost me when it came in because the production was so cheesy. But the melody of it was just strong enough to keep me like entertained and engaged.
If I have to like sound that pain to like it, I don't like it, Dante.
But, like it's
just enough, just a little bit. It was almost enjoyable, so I enjoyed it.
It was almost bad.
If I have to talk like that, I did not enjoy it.
I did enjoy it. Just like basically, it wasn't the actual line; it was the production. Because when I hear that poppy production swell, I cringe.
I'm just saying, if somebody was like, "How's that restaurant?" And you're like, "Yeah, food smelled good." What the fuck's that mean, dude?
But like the production almost lost me, but like the melody was good enough to keep me in there. The writing was good.
I'm just giving you shit. But.
And I was actually like, I enjoyed this one. Like I've been in the recent years since I've seen Attila live, I've been softening my hate on them, my anti-Attila stance. Given like looking back at shit like about that life and all that, that's still. I've slowly been able to put them into the dumb fun Limp Bizkit category, just the metalcore version of that
It's such a fine line.
Yeah, like it's
like
because of course like their whole purpose is to be dumb fun,
yeah.
But there's a line in here which like there was one lyric in the song that's kind of like fucked me up because it took me out of it because they're going for kind of like the lyrics are a little bit on the cliche side, but it works. But then there's some line where he's talking about keeping it real. In this relationship song, and that one was like,
monkey see, monkey do, keep it real, keep it real.
I like that because that's just dumb fun, right? That's dumb fun. That's cool. Because like, if someone's saying something just stupid heavy, like I enjoy it with that.
Well, it's like I don't give a fuck about lyrical content most of the time, but then like Blackstone Cherry writes "Blame It on the Boom Boom," and I get just instant embarrassment.
It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. It just can't take you out of it.
Instant secondhand embarrassment. But like at the end of the day, I remember when that song came out, we joked about it enough that it was kind of endearing.
I remember like the whole like me and Mary Jane song.
That's what sucks about like later Blackstone Cherry is it's so fucking like it's so ghost ridden and like goofy, like White Trash Millionaire.
Yeah.
But even then, it's so fucking it's stupid catchy.
It's so catchy. Like it's not bad enough for me to want to hate it.
Yeah. Well, but like hell, their first 2 records I thought were actually fucking great.
I do like that. They had a song called Reverend Wrinkle, which I loved back in the day.
Blind Man, fucking.
Whenever just being like kind of like
Rain Wizard, like
they're just being like Southern metal, Kentucky Southern metal guys. Like
I would say that OG, what was it? Their OG kit, the train song or whatever. Big train rolling down the line makes me lonely. Something like that.
I don't remember that one. I don't think
Lonely Train. I actually think is the song.
Lonely Train. Okay.
I saw them open up for Black Label Society back in the day, and it was on the first record. I thought they were fucking great. They were just loud and just good rock and roll.
Yeah.
They kind of just got very sterile after a while. Sorry, I'm on tangents.
On a big tangent.
Because I don't want to talk about Attila.
Well, I liked the Attila song. It's not my favorite of the week, but I did enjoy this one.
They should totally name an album The Pun.
Attila the Pun.
Yep.
I think that's a little too on the nose.
Yeah, fuck them. You laughed.
Because it's stupid. I laugh at I don't have a great sense of humor.
This is why I can't be a comedian. All my fucking friends are too dumb.
We're too dumb. We laugh at dumb shit.
I was like, I go up there and like anybody with half a brain cell is like, what the fuck's this dude talking about?
But
get the tomatoes.
Well, let's move on to something that you actually probably did enjoy. The other cover on this list of singles, "The Corrosion of Conformity," covered the classic Leonard Skinner song "On the Hunt."
That's funny. So I again didn't know.
That you didn't know this was a cover either?
I mean, I just was listening.
I thought you might know that.
I didn't listen to none of these till they're right over. So
true.
I didn't do no research.
Zero
I don't
research.
ever do research.
That's my job.
Yeah. And I'm still carrying this shit. I'm just kidding.
You know how long I spent researching this bullshit, right?
No, I was thinking, I was like, all right, this is pretty bad numbers. But as the song went, man, it just kept getting better and better. Like it was kind of a slow starter that won me over by the end of it.
It's a nice groovy one. This is like not written, but this is the side of the cover. This one after the last original member.
I'm surprised they don't just do like a Skinner album.
They could.
They really could, because that was really good. And
they did a real good job.
But what was funny, I was like, you were talking about the other one being a cover, and I was like, oh yeah, the Slipknot vibe, and kind of not quite, but that one I was definitely like, man, this is super Skinner vibes.
I wonder why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, after Gary Rossington, the last surviving original Leonard Skinner member, passed away, they decided to record a cover of "On the Hunt," which is a Leonard Skinner song I was not familiar with before. I meant to listen to the original to see how it compared, but didn't get around to it.
Yeah, I'm not like super well versed on deep cuts about them, and
I only
even
know
if this
3.
isn't technically a deep cut,
Yeah, I don't know 3 Skinner songs, like really. Now 4, I guess, when "On the Hunt" now.
it was the first concert I actually wanted to go to.
Really?
That I got to go to. Well, Montgomery Gentry, which, long story short, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Godfather, my bass cap has a big old fucking Montgomery Gentry
Logo.
Yeah, logo painted on the back of it. Yada, yada, yada. He played at Rupp Arena on New Year's with Skinner, and we got to sit maybe 10 rows up on the side right next to the stage.
Nice.
So, and I remember that was like a time where it was like hearing a band that wasn't like a metal band be heavy because it's live and like the guitars are,
You get the full force of the guitars.
And Skinner is a guitar band, so more so than anything I'd seen up to that. Well, when I say that I remember, because I definitely was like backstage for Edgar Winter as a 3-year-old.
True, but you can't really remember that as well.
Yeah, but like as far as seeing like Skinner, I just remember being like, fuck, there's like this wall of sound happening, and like their guitar player just fucking was ripping the entire time. Like this super awesome lead tone and whatnot. So Skinner's one of those bands, if it wasn't for all the fucking like bad radio songs, well, not bad radios, just overplayed. Like when you heard Sweet Home Alabama 1,010
Sweet
times.
Home Alabama.
And I worked at a country bar for a while, so disclosure on some of the songs I hate that'll probably get brought up over, fuck wagon wheel.
Rob my mama like a wagon.
But yeah, some of those Skinner songs end up in that category of like, goddamn, I've just heard it way too many fucking
mama
times.
in the way for you.
So I'm not familiar with the song either.
Mama rock me.
I think we're treading water on this one. It was good. It was really good.
I really enjoyed this one. This was a really dope one. Quality version of the cover. I enjoyed it. As someone who was not familiar with the original Leonard Skinner song, I definitely enjoyed it. Corrosion of
As
Conformity.
I say, it made me want to go listen to it. So there you go. Well, after you just told me, I would have never listened to it.
Never would have known, because you thought, this is just a cool Corrosion song.
Because that's what it sounds like.
I mean, they did say they are a major influence. Skinner does.
Yeah, sound like a very just straight up new kind of chill Corrosion song.
Last but not least, or maybe at least for you, because this is definitely not in your wheelhouse of stuff you like.
Yeah, this one ain't getting a medal. This is the same fucking motherfucker
that one that did the song with John Davis.
Jonathan Davis in this motherfucking song, because there's a part in the middle where they start going.
That is just Kim Dracula doing his best John Davis impression.
Okay, well, this was much more enjoyable in comparison to that.
It was good. It's not a Kim Dracula song. It's he's featuring.
Is he a DJ?
No.
So like, what do he do?
He's a vocalist.
Rock it to me, sock it to me in the middle.
Rock it to me, sock it to me. He did. I'm pretty sure he did like the middle verse of this with the John Davis scat part.
So that's all he did. He just ripped off Jonathan Davis on somebody else's song,
and he did some screaming vocals in there too.
Okay.
Some normal screams.
This is that kind of production shit that I'm not very into. So
yes, Left to Suffer. The singer of which, Taylor Barber, is part of that. Formerly the Big Six, now. Whatever, I forgot the name, but they switched the name to now. That's deathcore supergroup.
Bukkake Bill's Wonder Emporium.
The deathcore supergroup, formerly known as the Big Six, which changed their name to Project Vengeance.
I used to just say Bukkake Bill all the time. I've added Wonder Emporium on there.
Yeah, but yeah, like Taylor Barber is part of the Project Vengeance 5-piece, along with the singers of Spite and Traitors and Lorna Shore and Infinite Annihilator.
This wasn't bad, but it wasn't, again, like I said, it's that level of production that gets out of my wheelhouse where I'm just like, yeah.
This is the first single from their upcoming album, Feral, which is coming out. Well, this can't be the first single. I think they released some other singles. Because the album comes out May 12th, which is a week from Friday. So this is, it's good quality, it's solid deathcore. It's deathcore that didn't bore me. But it's definitely going for that overdriven, just loud all the time, like all balls to the wall deathcore, which doesn't have the dynamics that's really needed for like a really good overall song.
Yeah, it didn't groove enough for me.
Yes, I actually like the fact that Kim Dracula is in this one, having his little John Davis beatbox added some much needed dynamics to the song.
I was confused as fuck because I thought that was the Jonathan Davis thing, and I heard the weird scat beatbox shit in the middle, and I was like, so what? And I was just thinking like he was a DJ adding noises and shit.
No, he's just someone who does a lot of different vocal styles. He raps, he sings, he screams, he plays all instruments.
He's got some fucking backstory about having a skin disease or some shit. I don't know. I looked at his Spotify. It says some weird ass shit.
I didn't know about that. I remember reading his Spotify profile before. I don't remember anything about that.
I'm about to.
Because, I don't know if he had some skin disease. What? I don't remember this detail.
Surfacing from the. Never mind. Okay. Surfacing from the flesh eating diseases and torrential wildfires of Australia.
Oh. Yeah. He's Australian.
So I just misread what I was trying to read.
No, he's got some skin disease.
Yeah, sorry. He got scabies, by God.
Goddamn.
Get your fucking. Dracula better not chew on me if you're going to give me scabies.
Who cares?
You're a vampire and you're going to live forever, but you're going to have scabies.
Kim Dracula.
It's like, thanks, Dracula, you sack of shit.
I'm from the most badass place ever, Australia.
You're going to live forever, but you're going to have fucking the side effects of leprosy.
Oh, man. This is like friggin' Seal. He is not. What?
He's an ugly motherfucker. Sorry.
That part didn't get all the way to the microphone, but it's okay. Of course, when I friggin' edit this thing, it's gonna boost that up later. So
shit, now I'm punching the mic,
punching the goddamn microphone. But yeah,
his face makes me so mad.
It's like, oh damn, boy, why you look like that, boy? Thing is, I'm kind of a mark for a dumb John Davis scat part, because it's so weird.
I was just confused, man. It's like I said, I was just like, all right, Jonathan Davis did that thing with this dude. Did he give him his scat blessing? Did he shit on his chest?
He's just very, Jesus. He's just very influenced by Korn, is all up in his sound.
Dude, I love fucking Korn, fucking covered in butter and seasoned salt.
Cream corn.
I would say Korn's influenced me greatly.
Corn on the cob. Corn pudding.
Cream corn's bullshit.
Cream corn's delicious.
Corn pudding's the shit.
Cornbread.
Have you ever had corn pudding?
I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah, I've had it.
Corn pudding's the shit.
Corn pudding is good. I do like it a lot.
That fancy sauce that's got corn in it. Oh,
What sauce is
salsa.
salsa? Corn salsa?
I don't know. Is that what it's called?
I mean, it's also a corn. I just
There's
had
always
some.
like special names.
I had Qdoba.
I had a
just
Mexican once
before
tell me
I-
their burrito just meant donkey.
That's burro.
Well, he told me there was no word for burrito in Spanish.
But yeah, burrito I think is actually like a Tex-Mex thing.
He was like, well, he was trying to convince me it was donkey, I guess. Maybe that was.
Burro is donkey. Burro. No Ito.
Well, he said that too. But
There's a lot of weird stuff that I've heard from Mexicans. I think they're fucking with me on.
yeah, I don't know.
I remember when I worked at Wendy's, half the crew was Mexican, and they always called me Moyo, which I know references being black, but I don't know if it's a slur or not.
To the audience abroad, that all three of you, let us know whether we're dumb or not. 'Cause I
Hey,
don't
we
know.
have like 13% of our listeners are in Argentina.
Yeah,
apparently.
good. So tell us,
Tell us,
tell
please-
us the origins of burrito.
So please comment. What the fuck does Moyo mean?
Because all right, so he wasn't saying that it was burrito. He was saying that like it was like derived from burro. I don't know
I can see that
because
burrito might be a Tex-Mex thing. That might not be actual Mexican.
you know what Godzilla is or Gojira, like in Japan,
Yeah.
gorilla
It's
and whale,
Wait, what?
gorilla and whale combined. Gojira.
Is it because it comes from the sea or something?
I mean, I guess it's upright, walks upright, and is from the sea. I don't know, but
do they
Gojira.
have a word for dinosaur in Japanese or something?
I mean, we get into the 90s, and there's a Godzillasaurus that helped World War II Japanese soldiers on the island somewhere.
We've
Let's
gone
not go down the Godzilla wormhole.
We've gone way off topic here. We were talking about a deathcore song, and we joined upon Godzilla somehow.
Well, my brain goes towards like three things always.
It's back to Godzilla. All returns to
Like
Godzilla.
wrestling, Godzilla,
Football.
football, titties,
Yeah, everybody needs some titties in life.
and Aaron Lewis is a douche chode.
We already have an episode titled that. Can't do it again. At least not back to back.
This is just for the fans that listen to every episode.
Maybe.
Calling back
Yes.
the good old days.
From the episode.
You remember when I said Sleep Tokens sound like Imagine Dragons? I remember.
That was your first episode. That was 8 episodes ago.
Well, I didn't develop the hemorrhoids I wanted to.
One
I haven't
day-
talked about tripping in a while.
We got a whole 3 episodes and out you talk about tripping.
We are really fluffing this one out. This one's okay. What's your favorite fucking track of the week, Dante?
My favorite track of the week. It might be. It feels like a cop out to like give it to one of the covers, but the Poppy cover.
I was gonna give it to Poppy till you told me it was a cover, so Kubla Khan is my
Yes,
gold.
if we're not going to count the cover, then Kubla Khan is the favorite one here.
But if we're gonna go with the cover, I'll say that I probably like the Poppy a little more.
Because I'm just like, this is making me like Poppy a lot more. I know it's a cover.
Off what
but she
I'm
did a
gonna
good job.
judge shit for, I'll say Kubla Khan first, Poppy second, and I mean obviously probably Corrosion third.
I actually think I matched that.
With
That's
the,
one
with
of my
the with the
favorites.
shit bucket going to Attila.
It's I like the uniqueness of the Attila song, but if he just didn't say keep it real, or like keep it real in that one line, because that's the line I was like, God damn it, you just had to say something to fuck it up.
Monkey see, monkey do.
I like me. You got to say it in a dumb hardcore voice for me to like a dumb lyric. Because there's like another Attila song that they released like Day Drinking, which is basically like Southern rock clutch-ish type of thing they did, which was a really good song, but he has like some like it's good except for like 1 or 2 lyrics in there just so dumb. It's like
That was another thing on that Metallica record. The lyrics are terrible. Just keep calling back all the old.
because like in that old Attila song, Day Drinking, which I say old, it came out like a year or 2 ago.
The next episode is going to be a clip show. We're already doing that.
He's saying like he was said like the chorus is like almost drunk enough to send the Aztecs or something like that. It's basically talking about like just talk. Like I did like the main hook of the song. I'm a bad man. We had a couple of drinks. It's a fun drinking song. But then like at the end, very end of the song, there's like voiceover where he's like talking on the phone, talking about like, yeah, baby, like just like break me up. I'll do that thing with my tongue I like, blah, 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 blah. Some bullshit like that. I'm like, you're so close to not having a cringe song. The song was so good until you had to do that at the end.
Cringer's gonna cringe, dog.
Cringers are gonna cringe. But yeah, I'd say that the lowest one for me might go to, I don't know, I still kind of liked Artificial Anatomy.
I'm gonna give the scat part like 0.5 star ahead of Attila. No, actually, I did enjoy Left to Suffer much more than Attila. I did not turn it off, so I listened to the full song.
If I had to say my lowest one, I'll give it the lowest one to Attila, but I still enjoyed it though. I would say I did have another one. I had a new Wolf Mother song I was gonna put on here, but I thought we already got enough singles as is, and the Wolf Mother song would be my lowest if it was on here anyway.
Look at you.
I'm trying to edit it down just a tad bit because we're up to hour 40 here without the song.
I feel like we've talked way longer than we did last time.
Well,
I feel like I've gone on a tangent on everything.
We have gone on tangent. I thought this was going to be an hour-long episode, honestly.
Yeah, well.
Because I thought, like, if there's no cold open, we'll get a nice tight hour out of this.
My apologies, America.
But, yeah, I believe that is
the three people in Kentucky.
If you enjoyed this episode, I feel like this was a good, entertaining episode.
Did they get the news about 3 Days Grace reuniting from Alabama yet?
Yes, I got that on the last episode. That's a dumb joke that you had. I didn't understand what you were talking about until I listened back to the episode.
You didn't understand?
I didn't know what the joke you're trying to make. that. And then I listened back and like, oh.
Pony Express, dog.
Pony Express. And I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about. I was just rolling along with it. Like, why are you talking about that?
You seemed to enjoy it. You seemed to enjoy it.
I was just like that's podcast thing. Just got to keep talk rolling. Even though I don't know what the fuck it's going on about. But
back in my day, ponies brought us the news.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to drop a comment on the Spotify or drop an email at theheavyhaystack@gmail.com. If you want to have your music featured on a podcast, you can either DM the podcast on any of the social media sites or send us the email. And also, eventually, we'll get back to doing band album ranking episodes at some point in the future.
Bitch, y'all got like 2 episodes in a week. Y'all better be grateful.
It's 2 episodes like a week apart from each other. I say this every time, I'm going to edit this tonight and upload it. I'm doing it. I'm going to get this uploaded tonight.
Come on, House.
I'm going to do it. But yes, make sure that you keep up the podcast. Give us a 5-star rating so that this podcast can grow and get more listeners and spread out all across the land of this great heavy music world of ours.
Listen to Stormtoker.
Listen to Stormtoker as well, our metal band.
Honestly, more importantly, listen to Stormtoker.
I have it in our bio that we are from the band Stormtoker. The 2 hosts of this program. And Stormtoker music is featured in all the segments of the transitions, the opening songs, Killdozer, the going into the heavy news segment. I think I use Apex for that one. I use Spicers for another segment for the singles. They're all Stormtoker songs. Those are little bits and pieces of the band. If you have not listened to us yet by this point, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. And, wrap this shit up. I gotta go get high.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
More high.
I need to play some Metroid Prime.
Jesus Christ. We'll have another episode out for you in, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, within another week or so. So until the next episode.
I'll say I might be able to do it after practice next week.
Make it work. So until the next episode, peace, love, music, and we shall see you all next time.
Go get high.